First of all, GuGu Michaels, thank you for your patience and and your fortitude. Seriously, man, we appreciate it. Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, we sincerely do. I and my editor, Daniel White with Mythaxis and the Mythaxis community really are happy to have you on. I've watched your latest film and reviewed it, Incubated. And boy, a lot of stuff I want to get into about the movie, but I wanted to start off, if we could, and I talked to a lot of creative people and filmmakers and people, working on stuff that didn't exist before they made it happen. What do you remember, like the moment or the movie or maybe the stretch of time in your life where you realized, wow, I really, really dig movies, man. And I would like to someday commit my life and my career to being a filmmaker. Do you remember when that was, GuGu?
To be honest, I kind of fell into it because I used to rap in the 90s.
Okay.
And while I was rapping, I used to shoot music videos, a lot of music videos, and I don't know why, I just spoke that interest. I used to ask the director, "Hey, what is this camera? It's those big film celluloid cameras,
Yeah.
What is that?" He would tell me, "Okay, why are you changing that? This is a lens. This is okay. What, So I just started asking a lot of questions, and in asking those questions, he realized I was curious. Then he said, "Man, are you interested in cameras?" I like, yeah. He started teaching me, and that's kind of like how then I went under his I started learning under him. That's kind of how I fell into it. So it wasn't like I just woke up and like, yeah, I want to be a director. No, I kind of fell into it. And once I started, I was like, man, forget rap. Let me go into
You fell in love, man. You fell in love. Yeah.
That's how it got started.
What's the first film? It might be a short film or just some practice thing practice production that you made. What's the first film that you worked on?
My first movie was actually I just dove in. I didn't know nothing. Dove in.
Okay.
My first movie was called Thugs, Urban Killers, Thugs.
Yeah.
In 1996 is when I shot it. I had no clue what I was doing. I just picked up the camera. I just started, didn't even have a script. I just wrote out the story. I didn't have a script. I just got my actors. I just told them, okay, hey, I want this in this scene. This is what I want. And then you guys go. And they just freestyled it. So the whole movie was freestyle.
Wow.
We come on location. Then I was like, okay, yesterday I shot this. Okay, how do I attach it to that story? Okay, yeah, this is what we're gonna do. Okay, so we did this, so let's add this to it. Then boom, that's how I made my first movie in 1996 called Thugs.
Wow, and you kind of had a basic idea, but then you just like let the story play out.
Yes.
In front of you with the performers, the actors. Wow.
No script.
That's probably kind of a cool way to do it because you had to learn a lot of things on the fly, and then moving forward, it's like, yeah, I kind of figured this out on my own. This makes sense now, and doing this in a more formal manner, and it's not like taken by surprise or overwhelming me,
Right.
So moving into Incubated now, the first thing I wanted to ask you about, apparently this story is based on actual events. Is that true? And how did you find out about this story and this man, this truck driver, and just kind of take it from there, GuGu, if you would, in terms of finding out about what happened here and what you portray in your movie, and then just kind of the genesis of actually making it, producing it and releasing your film.
Sure. Well, actually, it's Chianti, the guy that played the lead role.
Yeah.
That's actually his story. He also, he's also the executive producer. He paid for the film.
That. Yeah.
How the story came about was during the COVID, I remember he was, that was post after everything he went through. He was, to him it was kind of like he kind of told it to me like in a joking manner. He was like, man, you're not gonna believe what happened to me, man, dude. I locked myself in the truck, and I'm listening.
Wow.
And I'm listening.
Yeah.
He was like, man, dude, man, the COVID triggered me. My wife wanted to go help. Man, I'm listening to him. And when he finished, he thought it was, I guess he thought I was gonna laugh, but I didn't laugh. I was like, dude, hold up. Is this? He was like, yeah, this just happened to me. Like last week. I was like, what? I'm like, dude, we have to turn this. There's no way you went through this and not let people hear what you went through. Because it brought back all his old memories. He literally loved him. Actually, it was a week, but because of the movie, we tried to compress it to 3 days. He was in his truck for a whole week. So I was like, man. So from there, I'm like, you know what, man, dude? Everything you told me, write it down. So what he did was, he wrote it out like a storyline, like a novel. It was like 30 pages story, and then that's what I took and then used that and turned into a screenplay. So that's how.
And his name, can you say his full name, the lead actor, please?
Sure. His name is Keontae Jeconiah.
Okay, Keontae Jeconiah. Had he ever done anything like this before, Keontae?
Well, Keontae, he comes from rap. He also used to rap.
Okay.
And I used to shoot. That's how he and I became close. I used to shoot like all his music videos.
Okay.
And so that's how that's how we've been knowing each other through music and stuff like that. So yeah, he comes from the music world, and like I said, when he never acted before, wow. So when he told me that story, man, kind of like how it got your attention. That's how it got my attention, because I myself, I dealt with trauma, when I was younger, which I never saw in the therapy. I never, I just suppressed it myself. Yeah. So when he was telling me that story, it kind of triggered my childhood, because I was bullied. I was bullied very, 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 very bad. So it kind of brought back a lot of all those old memories. I was like, wow, if I'm feeling this way, man. His story brought out a lot of things in me. I know I'm not the only one that's feeling it. There has to be somebody else that's experienced some kind of trauma at some point in their life, Yeah. And even to the point to where in some scenes we have to stop, because I had to calm down, because I started, I was weeping. A grown ass man, and I was weeping in front of people. So I had to shut down and just walk away a couple of times just to calm down. You know what I mean? Because in filming, it just, it touched me a lot in filming. So that's how kind of that whole process came about.
Wow. Obviously, I didn't realize that. That's really emotional. That's some real stuff, And I think that all of us, on some level, have experienced mental challenges, if not mental illness. And I know that in the film, Sean, as played by Keontae, is battling some serious mental illness that has, as my dad would say, taken him out of the ball game. And he's never acted before is amazing. The performances that you were able to draw from Keontae, but also the whole cast, and I wrote this in my review, are just very natural, very real, and very believable. This could be any family dealing with something that they love who can't help what's going on within them and inside their mind. Can you talk about basically the universal message that you're sharing with us as an audience in this movie? Because it's very powerful, and it's even more remarkable now that this is Keontae's first professional acting performance, and he basically is playing himself. He went through this nightmare. Can you just offer your thoughts on that, GuGu, and just what that whole experience was like.
Right. Well, well, like I said, yeah, like you just said, it was Canty's story, and him, first of all, I give like I always tell him, I encourage him for even allowing me to probe him to go to those dark places that he went through many years ago. I always tell him, hey man, I thank you, I appreciate you, I thank you, because the whole thing that he and I, when we discussed about making a movie, he didn't just want to make a movie just to make a movie, and I didn't want to just make a movie just to make a movie.
Yeah.
And when we were developing the script, we would always discuss and like, okay, in this time period, what were you going through? Then he will explain it to me.
Wow.
Then I would think, okay, the way it hits me, how can I express this visually so we can also hit the viewers that's also watching?
Yeah.
So it became like a process, and like when I was writing the script, I would read what he wrote, and then I was like, wow. And then I would call him. I'm like, what did you mean when you, and right here when you was thinking, and when you was thinking about your childhood, what triggered you? What made you think that?
Yeah.
He was like, oh, man, and then he would explain it to me. Then once he explained it to me, I'll put it on the script. So that's kind of how we developed it. Even with the situation where, I don't know if he wants me to share this, but I don't want to go too deep into it. I already him tell that part, but he experienced a loss because of COVID.
Yeah.
So when he's telling it to me, he's telling me his reality, if that makes any sense. So it's not something I'm just thinking, okay, ooh, how can I make this movie exciting? How can I make an action scene? How can you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is his everyday living. So I had to be careful how I bring it. So that was kind of how we dealt with it. And again, the message was, because I know trauma triggers different things, whether it's people that come from war, whether it's women that have been raped, whether it's men that's been robbed at a gunpoint, it's all trauma. So, and each individual deals with it differently. So it just so happens that, because he was diagnosed with bipolar, his schizophrenia, bipolar. That's his diagnosis. So this is his trauma, what he went through as a child, triggered that mental illness, that him with the COVID, with his wife, with everything, he just snapped is the better word.
Yeah.
But instead of reacting violently to anybody else, he incubated himself in his own safe place, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. And we can't pretend to understand another individual's place that they reside in, particularly when it's this volatile. But it sounds like you and Canty really organically and in collaboration recreated his experience when his deep trauma was triggered with the onset of COVID.
Right.
Yeah. What a couple of messages you have here. One, I think I'm reading it correctly, and I definitely agree with it, is that the over-the-top hysteria that this country, the world, was thrown into about COVID. We understand it was a virus that we didn't understand, and initially we didn't know how to deal with it, but relatively soon we did. But it was almost like, not almost, there's a thrust, a movement that wanted to keep America afraid. Was that in your mind and in your sensibility while you were making the film? Because that really came across to me in Incubated.
Well, that was not intention.
Okay.
basically our intention was just to bring awareness to people facing different outcomes during this pandemic.
Right.
Mine was loneliness. Okay. And the way I experienced COVID was totally different from the way he experienced COVID. Just like I'm pretty sure it would be different from the way you experienced COVID. You understand what I'm saying? So, it's not my place to tell somebody, what decision to make, whether it's to wear mask or get vaccinated or not to get vaccinated. It's not my place to speak that.
Understood.
We are sharing, in this particular movie, how he dealt with it. You know what I'm saying? And mine was, I got addicted to movie. I got addicted to movie and YouTube. So right now, it's like, if I don't watch YouTube, I feel like I'm missing something.
Okay. But that's your experience,
That's how I was able
to
YouTube, just escaping my loneliness and watching other people talk about different subjects on YouTube. If that makes sense. So everybody dealt with it in a different way, So, if that's the message some people get from it, we just left it open, for different people to take their own interpretation. Kind of like the Bible. When you read the Bible, everybody have different interpretation of the Bible. So that's kind of how we left it open to, okay, is he talking about this, or is this what they're saying, or is it, how does it relate to you?
That's what a good story and a good movie does. It doesn't tell you or preach to you. You're basically conveying art. You are conveying art, and we interpret it how we do as individuals. And that's why I watch movies, essentially. And that completely resonates with me. Speaking of the Bible, I'm a Christian, and I am not perfect. You can ask my wife, and I am not sanctimonious or self-righteous or better or worse than anyone. But I am a Christian, and I watch a lot of films, review a lot of films, and mostly secular, but I watch faith-based Christian themed movies as well. There's a scene in Incubated, GuGu, that you frankly just rarely, if ever, see in the secular film industry, where Sean is at the end of his rope.
Yeah.
And he's in his cab by himself, and he prays to God, and he indicates it's been a while since he's talked to God, but he prays for, basically, for he and his family to be saved. He prays for salvation. That really impressed me, and you talk about shedding tears. That got to me because there was a moment of desperation, but it was also a moment of, it seemed like, clarity for Sean. Can you talk about, first of all, writing that scene and including that scene in your film, and why it was clearly important for you to include this in your movie?
Yeah. Well, I'm myself. I'm also a Christian. I'm not a saint, but
no.
Yeah, and Chianti and his family are also Christian people. And one of the things that he told me that resonated with me is like, man, I don't think I would survive this without God, his quote unquote. So in writing the script, we talked about it, and we was like, okay, well, I know you said a lot of times, a lot of prayer helps you come through this. I think we should let the audience, let the audience know when you decided to let him handle it. Because it's becoming too much for you to handle on your own. It came to a point where, okay, let's let the audience know how you're feeling right now when you just give everything up to him and you just pray to him, you told him what you wanted, and you just let him deal with it, that's what that scene, what we're trying to bring to the audience is this is when he was like, you know what, God, I tried myself, it's not working. Just, man, I give up. Just let you do. I'm handing over to you. That's really what we're trying to touch up with that little scene right there.
Yeah. Boy, you absolutely did. And the point that I made in my review is, and I really admire this, and I wish more films would, I don't know if it's courage, but just have a perspective where they could do this. Your film is an adult. It's for grown-ups. It's for adults. There are there's violence in the movie against women, against children.
Yes.
And there's frank sexual scenes, and,
yes.
and there's raw language pervasive throughout. That's real life.
Yes.
And then you incorporate the Christian element in the film. That's what I'd like to see more of in films, because I understand faith-based films and Christian-based films, and a lot of times they're sterile and kind of antiseptic, if you know what I mean. And that doesn't portray my life and most Christians' lives, because as we both freely admit, we're not perfect.
Right.
And not that all these things that happen on screen happen in our lives, but it's a more relatable experience to watch a movie like that than it is with a lot of Christian themed movies who have the best intent, and I know that. You really succeeded. I don't know that I've seen it done in the way that you did it in this movie.
Oh,
and,
wow.
I really need to give you kudos for that.
I appreciate that.
It's not hard to do, and it's I consider it special, because certainly this is not jumping on the bandwagon. Almost nobody is doing this in secular film industry.
Right.
The readers and the viewers of Mythaxis love to hear about artists and how they create their art, and your art is film. They're also interested in the technical aspects of film as well.
Yeah.
A lot of Incubated was filmed in enormously tight quarters in the cab of a tractor trailer rig. Talk about doing that, the challenges of doing that, and maybe some of the specific equipment and apparatus and just the dynamics that you had to use as a filmmaker to pull those scenes off and bring them to the screen.
Sure. Yeah, I love to talk tech. So yeah, perfect. Yeah, cool. Yeah, well, I started the movie with I originally wanted to use my big Ursa Mini Pro G2 Pro, but it was too big. So what I ended up doing, I purchased maybe I'd say 6 weeks before the principal shooting. I purchased the Pocket 6K Blackmagic Pocket 6K camera.
Okay.
That's what we use, and I use a lot of wide angle lens. I use mostly my 16 and my Zoom 20 is majority of the time that we inside the truck. I use my wide angle lenses.
Okay.
And it was very challenging because it was shot during the pandemic in the summertime, and so you know how it is with the Texas heat. Yeah. So you can imagine. You can imagine me, our lights, the actors, our line producer, and then my AD, all 5 of us, and the audio, all 6 of us crammed.
Oh man, that's brutal. Yeah.
So you can imagine the man. It was. Sometimes we just have to just stop, turn on the AC, and just let everybody cool down. Turn the AC off.
Nice cold Gatorade, yeah.
So yeah, it was brutal, man. It was brutal, but but man, shout out to everybody that was involved. To my to everybody that was involved. Everybody was a trooper. The actors were troopers. Even though you can see them sweating and uncomfortable. And they're still like, oh, I'm okay. We can keep going. I'm okay. But they're drenched. Just give me water. I'm fine. Just give me water. I'm fine. Wow. And Chianti, the same thing with Chianti. You know, he was a man. He was a trooper, man. So that's really what we went through, the challenging. But other than that, man, it was just because we went by storyboard. We had a gentleman draw a storyboard because I didn't want to come on set and then because we were confined in. If you saw the movie, we were real confined.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to get stuck in just shooting the same angle through the whole film. So we mapped it out, knowing exactly each scene, each frame, you know, and that helped us boom, 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 boom. So that was kind of like the process of how we shot it.
Well, thanks for sharing that. And we've talked about the cast. You know, directors love to talk about their actors. Again, I thought that their performances are very, very genuine, and in my opinion, that makes it even more impactful. Talk about your cast and about working with them, and really the special qualities that they brought to Incubated.
Oh yeah, everybody did great. Shout out to Normita. If she's watching this, she was our casting director. She has a casting agency. So basically, she's the one. We sent her the script. We told her what we're looking for. This is what we're looking for. So she went ahead and selected, the people that she wanted to use, and they all did the table read. And Ryan and Miss Dunn, man, I tell you, Tiffany Dunn, I call her Miss Dunn.
Yeah.
And also Mary, I don't want to leave out Mary. Just the whole cast, I don't want to leave out anybody.
Oh,
the entire cast,
main characters, but yeah.
Everybody did an amazing job, and like I said, everybody was trooper, on set, because we shot during COVID, and and that's when COVID was real hot, real hot. So we were real careful. We were separated. Everybody followed the rules. Everybody wore the mask. If you weren't filming, you wore the mask. Everybody had their own room. So we followed a real safety protocol.
Okay.
And nobody complained. Everybody understood. Wow. It was about safety first. So shout out to the whole cast, man. Even when if they had an issue, because at first there was a lot of guys that read for Lester.
Okay.
But once they saw the subject matter, they are back the way. Yeah. So shout out to Ryan for stepping up. He was like, you know what, man, this is wow. This is different. This is very controversial, but I wanted to, give it a try. And I told him, the way it's on paper, I promise you, I'm gonna find a way to make it to where it's not too what's the word I'm looking for? It's viewable. Because some people may be, some people may be triggered, like, I don't want to watch it, I didn't turn it off. But I promised him, if you take the role, I promise you, I'm going to make it to where, even though everything you're doing is horrible, but I'm going to find a way to make the audience still watch you and go with the movie. And again, shout out to Ryan for trusting me to take him through that journey. So everybody did a great job, the entire cast.
They certainly did, and it's an overused phrase, but labor of love comes to mind when you watch this, because all these are professionals who are committed to do the best they can, and they care. And I know that doesn't always happen. Talking to so many filmmakers, to the level you would think it would, but in Incubated, it clearly did, and that's tremendously rewarding. The actor's name is Ryan. His last name is
Barnes.
Yeah, Ryan Barnes. Just real briefly, and you touched on it. And I don't want to give away too much of the film, but the way I saw it, this is the embodiment of pure evil, but it also represents the dark side of what's burrowing into Sean's mind. And the way you did it was fascinating, and you described the dynamic of Ryan's character, and that's was that from your mind and your creative muse to have Ryan and his character and his presence manifested like it is?
Well, in real life, again, I don't want to share too much of his own part, but in real life, the abuser was a woman.
Okay.
In real life.
Okay.
But in speaking with Chianti, again, yes, we're telling the true story, but we're also making a film. Okay. Because if we just wanted just to do verbatim, then I should have did a documentary, if that makes any sense.
That certainly does.
Yeah. So so he and I discussed about it. I was like, it would be more terrifying if we switched it from the woman that actually did it and turned it to a man.
Yeah.
It would make it more terrifying and more disturbing, And in speaking with Ryan, the first day on set, he and I talked about it, and I told him, I don't want you to be crazy. I don't want you to be violent. I don't want you to be dark or menacing or no. I want you to be disturbing. That's what I told him.
That's a great description. Yeah.
Yeah. I want you to be disturbing. When people watch you, I want you to make people uncomfortable. I want you to be disturbing. And he and I talked about it, and he was like, okay, got it, let's go. And that's what he delivered, And yeah, that's basically it.
It's very effectively done, and he is immensely unnerving in his role. And I know that's obviously what you were shooting for. You definitely accomplished it. I ask filmmakers this all the time. Sometimes they can share, or they can only share so much. But what are you working on now? I know that Incubated has just been released.
Yes.
But filmmakers, their creative process is always cranking, and they're working on something. Sometimes while they're working on their current project. What can you give us an idea of what you're working on now and what you may have coming for us in the future?
Sure. Currently, from 2017 to I believe I'm sorry, 2016. No, 17. I'm sorry. Yeah, I was correct.
Years start running together, don't they? Especially over the last year and a half. Time doesn't mean much anymore.
I'm lost.
Yeah.
But from 2017 to 2020, which was last year, I shot 4 projects. Wow. Back to back. One action, Private Target, one horror film, The Marine Spirit, also based on a true story.
Wow.
Disturbing Intention, which is like a psychological thriller.
Good.
Then of course, Incubated. So right now I'm in the process of trying to build my own streaming platform,
Good.
My own Netflix. That way I can have my own platform to release my own movies, because in releasing these movies, we had to make minor adjustments in some scenes. We had to tone down some things. This is too long, cut this down. So we have to make a lot of adjustments. So I wanna have my own platform to where I can make the movie as I make it, as it's in my head.
Good. Wow.
So,
good.
Yeah. So that's what I'm working on right now. And also I'm also developing a script called The Hunchback. And basically that one is talking about a guy that's he was deformed when he was younger. He ended up having a hunchback,
Yeah.
And that deformity gave him like I don't want to say superhero, but it gave him extra strength to where he can do what normal people can't do.
Yeah.
And so basically, I want to tell that story about him and how he was able to maneuver in today's society. You know, dealing with social media, dealing with people taking picture of him, posting it on Instagram. You know, and when he goes to the store, people doing the live like, oh, look at this guy. You know. So I want to capture that. How does someone that has a deformity, how did they operate in this modern day time with everything that's going on with everything? Everybody got a camera out. Everybody, you know. So that's what I'm trying to develop right now.
Wow, that's sounds like projects that are right on the alley. Stay in touch with us with this. I definitely want to see where you're going. You, like I say, what you're doing with Incubated resonated with me. You know, and I'm saying that because it did, and I can't wait to see what you're going to bring to us here in the future. Got to let people know how they can watch Incubated. I watched it on Amazon Prime Video. Are there other platforms besides Amazon Prime Video where folks can watch Incubated? GuGu.
Sure. Yes. Yeah, they can watch it on Amazon Prime. Mm-hmm. They can also watch it on iTunes for those that have iTunes.
Okay.
It's available on Apple TV for those that have Apple TV.
Okay.
It's also available on Google Play for those that have Google accounts. And it's also available on Vudu. So those, I think, am I missing anything? Yeah, Amazon, iTunes, Apple TV, Vudu, and Google Play. Yeah, those 5 platforms is where it's available.
Good for you. See it. This is a movie that you'll be glad you invested time in it. And not all of it is easy to watch, but that's the point of what GuGu is doing with the film. But it will it'll affect you. GuGu, thanks so much for your patience, for your flexibility, and for your thoughts. This is an exciting time for you, obviously, and moving forward. You've got some really cool stuff for us to look forward to. And all the best to you, sir. Thank you very, very much.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You bet. Take care, and we hope to be talking to you soon.
Yes, sir. I hope so too.
Thanks, GuGu. Have a great day.
You too, sir. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.